Hello there. This is Yudin Wongmo, and I haven't posted here in a long time. And the reason is that I, some time ago, decided to leave the city and move out to the California countryside. And here I am in Calaveras County, California. And I would like to get this channel going again. And I've had some new members sign up, subscribers sign up in the intervening time. So we're going to start again. So let me know what it is you're interested in. Here's what I'm interested in right now. I'm interested in the overstimulation of our society and how it relates to our ability to engage in a meaningful, relaxed, and open way with spiritual practices. Specifically, I come out of a Tibetan tradition known as Nyingma Buddhism, of a generation when we were trained by elder Tibetan meditation masters, so to speak, came into exile and came to this country, and particularly on the West Coast of the United States, we had opportunity to practice in depth. We could work nursing jobs or massage therapy jobs or jobs that didn't matter where you jumped in and out of them that much. Of course, we had financial concerns aplenty, but it wasn't as, life wasn't as harried as it is now. In addition, you know, when my original teacher, Lama Tarchin Rinpoche, came to California, have you ever heard of a fax? A fax, F-A-X. These announcements of his events were sent out via fax and phone calls, which tells you that it was before the internet was widely used for this kind of thing. It was there, but it was not everybody had adopted it. We didn't have iPhones and so forth. And so with the era of internet addiction and absorption, it brings up whole new issues about how we're going to integrate practice in our lives, because so much of our lives are spent self-stimulating. Of course, there's other self-stimulants that were always there: drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping. I mean, you name it, for your individual kind of addictive behavior, repetitive behavior. This stimulates, I mean, now we know that we didn't know in the 90s as much, that there's a common pathway for addiction in our brains and our neurochemistry, and there's a neurotransmitter named dopamine, made famous most recently by the book Dopamine Nation by a Stanford scholar, who points out that we're stimulating all the time this pathway, and we're just in a way like drug seekers, even if we've never touched drugs in our lives, trying to stay on a constant high, which is an ever-failing proposition. So this is a, you know, from the point of view of Buddhism, desire, has to do with desire, and which the Buddha found was the fundamental flaw of life as a living being, is that we're always seeking happiness. We always think that getting that thing will make us happy, and yet even when we get the thing and we're happy for a moment, that thing will eventually go away, or we'll become inured to it. And now we even know what chemicals in the brain cause us to you know, eventually this is the most fascinating thing in the world that we're watching or taking or whatever, and then that benefit will dribble off, and then you're just trying to increase the dose, as with drugs, you know, to get the same high. And it may not seem like a high, but these are little micro highs if we're dealing with internet addiction. So what's happened is, I found, trying to teach the traditional introductory practices, the foundation practices for my Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I teach it. People come to the classes a lot, but then they don't actually do the practice. And they're not bad people. It involves a little bit of hardship. And this is, I think, again, I'm going to mention Dopamine Nation, the book, where convoluted differently than what we were taught to think. Engaging a little bit of hardship, and she gives the example of the people who are now doing dunking in ice baths and so forth in their lives at the gym or wherever they do that. Engaging in something difficult, running, meditating, which requires some focus and effort, instead of kicking yourself out of being led from pleasure seeking to pleasure seeking. And I'm not dissing pleasure here at all, but getting out of that world of repetitive self-stimulation. Number one, and I know we're being controlled by corporate America, and corporate America is a lot of us. A lot of people who work, corporate America isn't, I never make a they out of anything, like they're bad, we're good. They're controlling us, becomes, I think it's fear and conspiracy thinking. Part of that is because my father worked for the United States government, not only that, but for Congress, not as a congressman, but as a lawyer who wrote laws back in the 60s and 50s and 60s. Can you believe that? He wrote a lot of the laws, but I'll spare you the details of that. But at that time, people outside of Washington, Washington was a big mystery because there wasn't the inside views that we get from the media today back in those days. But there was a sense that the fat cats in Washington were the bad guys and they were out to get you. And my father was basically not a bureaucrat exactly, but a professional working for the government. And he was just a regular guy. And the people that came over to the house every now and then for a party who worked with him, men and women, they were regular people doing jobs sincerely as best as they could. So same with corporate America. I'm not going to demonize anybody, but the truth is, in a capitalist society, that eyes on their ads are a good thing. And any kind of promoting addictive behavior that sells stuff is a really good thing. So we're being manipulated all the time to keep scrolling. So this is what I'm interested in right now. How do we withdraw from the self-stimulating behavior so that we can engage in serious spiritual development? And serious spiritual development, it sounds so grim. But basically, the first step of every kind of spiritual development, no matter what spiritual tradition you're in, is learning to relax. I mean, as far as I know, there isn't any other way around that. To be centered in your body, to be truly have your consciousness present and aware with what you're engaging in, whatever the material is. So we can't really do much more. In a way, the beginner's practice in Tibetan Buddhism, and I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence or age here at all. We're all equal in this. The beginner's practices called the Ngundro Foundation practices in my tradition, and probably in every tradition, have become something that aren't done anymore because we haven't even gotten to step A of stopping for a while, spending some time alone, quiet time, relaxed time, goof off time, so that we can get into the headspace to even begin to engage in classical Buddhism or classical anything, right? Okay, so I'm talking a long time, but I just want to say hi again, and I'm just here with an iPhone in my shed where I'm living and working now, in Calaveras County, California. Calaveras means skulls, and my town is called Copperopolis, which means like the city of copper in the county of skulls. And these are interestingly metaphors of the founder of Tibetan Buddhism, one who really established things in Tibet, Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava. He was called all these things, like he lived in copper-colored mountain. He went to the copper-colored mountain. Well, his beautiful mind was always abiding in a kind of paradise-like reality, which is called the copper-colored mountain in Tibetan metaphorical language. And then one of his epithets or the names for Guru Rinpoche is Toteng Sal, the adept who wears a skull garland. And that means that whatever, literally you could think of it as like somebody who's practicing in the old days in India, and still in Benares, probably India. The corpses were disposed of, burning and so forth. They were brought to a certain place, and burnings is all done in the open. So you'd have skulls lying around and thigh bones lying around, and these come to represent working with circumstances in the awareness of impermanence. Every place is a charnel ground. This word charnel is so not used anymore very much, but it means like a place where the burning of corpses takes place. Or some places, like in Tibet, the vultures would come down and take care of the body. So kind of like a funeral parlor, but not as pretty. So it's like we're all working with the funeral parlor of our lives, trying to make something out of things that we love, constantly coming up, constantly passing away, and trying to discover any kind of awakening that transcends this rising and passing away. Very challenging. The challenge of that is our skull garland, or at least that's how I feel like expressing it at this particular moment. So thanks for listening. I think I'm probably going to change the banner across the head of my channel, and I welcome input. And I work with the Mayum Mountain Foundation, MAYUM.org, MAYUM where we teach traditional Tibetan Buddhism topics, but all these topics come in as well. So you can look us up there, sign up for the email list if you want. And I'm starting a new class for beginners and older people who want to get back to fundamentals on this weekend. So Sunday at 3:30 Pacific time. Come by if you like. You can sign up for it on our website. That's right. Alrighty. Bye now.